What's up, guys? And welcome back to the podcast, episode 2. I'm
What's
here,
up, guys? What's up, guys? I can't be energetic. I can't say what's up. No. I can't do that. I can't do that.
The title,
But thank you all.
as the title says it, no. They released one of the best players, wrestlers in WWE. The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. Go ahead, Brian.
I'm hurt. I'm shocked. I'm speechless. I have no words. Let's break down the history of Bray Wyatt. There's a lot of history and a lot of things with Bray Wyatt.
Yep.
Let's start from the beginning. Bray Wyatt was a guy who was on NXT for a very short time. His former name, Husky Harris. Formerly part of the Nexus and that group. Didn't go well for him, though. He was a little overweight, and it didn't go well for him. Then he goes away for a while, and then we start seeing these vignettes of kind of this house and these like creepy images and these kind of messages, and we're wondering, who is this guy? And then on a random night of Raw, we see these two dudes named Eric Rowan and Luke Harper. Like, who the hell are these guys? And then we see the leader pop up, Bray Wyatt. And we were like, who is this Bray Wyatt? Who is this guy? And then he starts talking this like mumble jumble that people were confused. But it was intriguing because you wanted to know more. And it kept you interested in what was his next move. His first move was Kane at SummerSlam. They had I think it was I forgot what they called it. It's not Inferno, but they called it something else. I forgot what they called it. But it was an Inferno match. And, of course, the one that would be on fire and the one who gets pinned wins the match. Bray Wyatt got his first win. Then they took away Kane, and Kane got off TV for a while. Then Bray was kind of just doing some mini feuds, attacking people. He was on Main Event when Main Event was popular on Ion, and just going around, trying to get his name out there. Then Luke Harper and Eric Rowan went for Tag Team Gold. Unfortunately, came up short, but they had a really good match with the Usos at Money in the Bank, and they just continued to go through. Then the breaking moment happened by the end of the year. They feuded with The Shield. That's right. They had a feud with The Shield that really broke them out. Really good. Bray Wyatt and Roman had a great match with all three of them surrendering. Could have been better, but it was a good step into the right direction. It's a good step in the right direction. And going into WrestleMania, a lot of people had a lot of hopes for Bray Wyatt. And Bray Wyatt got the ultimate push. He got a chance to fight John Cena. And was like, let's give Bray Wyatt a win. Like, we all thought, smart booking. Let's give Bray Wyatt a win. Why not? Nope.
He got buried by Cena.
He had a great match with Cena, but got buried, unfortunately. But then they continued the feud.
Brian, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with Cena taking a loss to Bray Wyatt. That will not hurt his reputation. It's John fucking Cena.
It won't. It really won't. If Cena takes a loss, it's not going to hurt him.
No.
Now, did Bray kind of slightly recover from this? Slightly, because he got a win back at Extreme Rules. They had a steel cage, and Bray got the win. Even though it was the weirdest way to win, he got the win. So, Bray got his win back. And then they feud for a little bit more, and then the feud kind of fizzled out. And then we were wondering what is next for Bray. Well, it was weird because Bray didn't really feud with anyone. They were mostly focusing on Luke Harper and Eric Rowan with the tag team. They didn't know what to do with Bray. So Bray was kind of just around for a bit. But then, finally, we get a really good feud. Daniel Bryan. Really good feud.
Yeah.
This was the breaking point and the opening for Bray Wyatt. He started attacking D-Bry backstage. He hit a Sister Abigail on a cage backstage. He said messages about Daniel and his past. And then Daniel gave in. They actually had potential to do a really unique story with Daniel Bryan becoming a heel and joining Bray Wyatt. And he did that for a few weeks. It had but it had potential though. A lot of people were interested. Like, oh, okay, Daniel Bryan turning heel, joining the Wyatt family. He had a weird, like, blue kind of, like, clothing, and he was attacking the Usos. Like, usually he would team up with the Usos. So it was really interesting. Unfortunately, it was very short-lived because then in a steel cage match, which unfortunately they took the loss, Daniel turned on Bray Wyatt, and then we were gonna get Daniel and Bray Wyatt at Royal Rumble,
As much I don't,
and we did get that
as much
match.
as much as I despise Daniel Bryan, that was good.
No, it was short, but it had way more potential to build up. And then Bray Wyatt and Daniel had a match at Royal Rumble, which was really good. And I don't who won that. I'm trying to remember who won that match. Was it Bray? I don't remember. It was Bray, right? Yeah, Bray got the win. So Bray got the win. Okay, so good stuff there for Bray. Then going into the next WrestleMania, nothing really happened with Bray. He was teasing something.
WrestleMania 31, he was trying to call out the Undertaker.
Yeah, he started doing these kind of coffin gimmicks as like a joke.
At Fastlane 2015,
he did
the Undertaker,
but instead it was Bray Wyatt.
Dude, that was cool.
He came out with the coffin with his lantern, like, you thought, bitch, it ain't me. So, and everyone was like, oh shit, he about to call out the Undertaker. And of course, the Undertaker, we didn't know he was gonna come back for WrestleMania because he took a massive loss at 30, like a huge loss at 30.
Because of his health, he had a concussion during that match.
Yeah, he had a concussion during the match, and he unfortunately had to lose the streak, which I know Brock didn't want to do it, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So, shout out to Brock for powering through.
At WrestleMania 31,
he came back.
Looking like the American Badass Taker, but a hybrid. Slightly like a hybrid. He looked like it, but he wasn't quite there. So it didn't look the same Deadman persona. So if he had the headband, yeah.
If he had the headband, he would have had it. But of course, they had a decent match as well at WrestleMania. It wasn't the best Undertaker match, but still, Bray did all right. And unfortunately, I had a feeling Bray was going to lose. Bray did take the loss. But it didn't affect him yet. Keyword yet. It didn't hurt him. But
no, it didn't.
It definitely put a thing on resume of Bray, like, if he would have beat The Undertaker, it would have even boosted him up even more. But you can't let Undertaker lose back-to-back WrestleManias. You can't do that.
No.
That's kind of fucked. That's messed up. So, Bray was kind of booked in the corner, like, yeah, you kind of gotta give the win to Undertaker. But still, I think it was like a decent, like, 15, 20-minute match. Wasn't too long. Didn't go too long, so... but Bray did hit his sister Abigail, so that was cool. But it was an RA match. So, RA match between those two. It definitely wasn't Bray's strongest match, but still not a bad match. Then Bray going into Battlegrounds, I think he was going to feud with Seth, I think. So, because at this point, the Shield were breaking up at this point, and Seth joined the bad guys, because then Seth later on in his career turned back face. So,
I will say,
weird thing for Bray at that point.
I will say, when Seth Rollins turned heel that night, that was the most shocking moment in history. But it worked for Seth Rollins. But originally, Dean Ambrose was supposed to turn heel.
Was supposed to be the heel, right. When I found that out, I was like, oh, that kind of makes sense. But I understand why they went Rollins, because Triple H was really hyping up Rollins at that point. Like, Rollins was getting a lot of hype. Like, everyone's like, yo, if Rollins gets turned heel, yo, we about to get a crazy feud. And we did. Like he cashed in on Roman at 31. He held the title for a long time and just went off on a run, like, honest. Unfortunately, he got injured and got cut short. But when he came back, he was electric. So, it's not about Seth, it's about Bray. So, Bray, I think he kind of just fizzled out a little bit in the main roster. Didn't really have many feuds in between there. Nothing noticeable.
Let's talk about that promo back in 2015 where he's in the woods. Monster.
Ah, yes.
He predicted the Fiend.
He did.
He said, she was tall, like, he had cat's eyes and hair down to the knees, like, damn.
Yeah. And everyone was like, what is he talking about? Everyone was, like, really confused. Everyone's like, what the fuck is he talking about? So, but yeah, basically, Bray kind of fizzled out in between that year. Then we head into the, probably my worst year for WWE, 2018. He started feuding with Seth Rollins. But at this point, Bray was kind of just there. He wasn't really being used much. He was losing a lot. Like, he went on a massive losing streak, unfortunately. And he lost a lot of his luster. He went into a feud with Dean Ambrose, which could have been interesting. Didn't really work out. He returned to Hell in a Cell to help Rollins out. and it kind of just went out from there, out the window. And those 2 years didn't really help Bray at all, didn't win anything special. But then something happened. In between that year, the Hardy Boys returned. And for a long time, a lot of people were like, are we going to get Woken Matt Hardy or Broken Matt Hardy, and we can get a dream match? Well, at first, didn't really happen. Matt was focusing on teaming up with Jeff, continuing his Hardy Boys reunion, which I respect. They hold the titles for a bit. But then something happened. Matt started losing it and started getting really frustrated with losing, and also was starting to do the delete thing that everyone was doing. So we're like, are we going to get the transformation of Matt Hardy? And we did. That following 2 weeks, we got the transformation of Matt Hardy. Now, the first match they had was just a singles match. It was kind of just okay. It wasn't nothing special. The thing gets interesting when Matt Hardy announced his deletion match at his house. That's where things got interesting. That's where things got real interesting. And then we had a bunch of references. We had like Brother Nero. And it was chaotic. It was funny. It was amazing. But then the shocking thing, Bray went into the Lake of Reincarnation. That's correct. I always love saying that. So the Lake of Reincarnation basically took Bray TV off for almost, I want to say about a year, Took him off for a while. And then he comes back in the Battle Royale, which that's when the Honor Giant was actually like legitimate. It wasn't like just a trophy. It was legitimately, if you win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale, you get a lot of credit. That was at that point, I think, at that point. So, that same year, he comes back, he runs in during the match, and helps out Matt Hardy to pick up the win. Yeah, out of all things, Bray Wyatt helps Matt Hardy, and they make this brand new duo, which, one of my favorite tag team mixes of both Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy's theme. I don't know why, it's just really good. It's just really good. And when they debuted on Raw, I was like, oh, that's so cool. And they actually won Raw Tag Team Gold for a while, and they had a decent run with those titles, and they were doing really well. But we knew at the backhand, if this is the new Bray we're going to get, Bray's probably going to go on his own for a bit. And then the draft came back. The draft came back, and they both split up. Matt stayed on Raw, Bray went to SmackDown. And this really helped Bray in 2017. This really helped Bray because he was part of the Survivor Series match with both Randy Orton and Luke Harper. Yep. And he also was in a big storyline with, Randy won the tag titles with Luke, and they were trying to get that relationship. But then Randy turned on him before WrestleMania. Unfortunately, the match they had did not deliver. That was one of my least favorite WrestleMania matches on WrestleMania 33, because I thought 33 was a really good WrestleMania. It was one of the better WrestleMania. It was better than 32 for sure. Like, it was way better than 32. But the match itself didn't deliver. The story was there, but the match was just like, Like, it wasn't anything special. But we knew Bray could have had better matches. Unfortunately, that didn't deliver. And then Bray, again, kind of lost his lust after that. And then, injuries started coming in. Then Bray got injured. Then Bray got injured again. He came back, got injured again. And the injuries just kept piling on. So then Bray said, all right, I need to reset myself. I need to go away for about a fuck ton of time and rebuild myself. So then he goes away. And I mean, he goes away for fucking knows how long. Like, long.
Then something weird happened.
Yeah.
We started getting these weird promos.
And we started getting these rumors of a new character for Bray, and we're like, what could it be? And then the first appearance on a September Raw, we see Bray Wyatt. We're like, whoa, where have you been? And he's wearing like a Mr. Rogers. He had his hair, and we saw pictures before this where he got jacked. Like, he lost a fuck ton of weight. Like, he went on a binge during that time, and he lost so much weight. And he just went off. And we were all confused. And I remember Rob's first reaction. Rob was like, what the hell did they do to Bray? I was like, hey, I'm going to give it a chance first before you say anything. And I gave it a chance, and I'm glad I gave it a chance. Because it was really good. So, Bray just these weird promos, and for a few weeks, he starts talking about, like, painting. He, like, cut out the old version of Bray, like, the old Bray Wyatt is dead. So, like, he kind of, like, just, like, did, like, a chainsaw. So, really unique stuff.
Then
And then the true self came out. We see this promo, and Bray is like, I have a secret I want to reveal. And we're all wondering, okay, what is that secret? A few minutes later, we see pictures of dolls. We see, like, creepy girls and all weird stuff. And then a minute later, you see this really masked dude with a really interesting mask with some face paint. And you see him in, like, this new clothing, and he looks like a different person. You're like, that's Bray Wyatt? That is not Bray Wyatt. And then he said, yowie wow, and everyone just lost it. Like, what just happened? What happened?
On the September episode of Monday Night Raw, Finn Balor won a match other than the lights.
Oh, yes. Let's talk about that. The debut, per se. The lights slowly dimmer. They had a weird noise to them. And we're like, what is going on here? This really weird screeching. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's like a really weird screech noise. I would play it, but I don't want to get like copyright or anything. But it's like a really weird screeching noise. And then you see like these dim lights, and then you see the mask, and you're like, holy shit, that's Bray Wyatt. That's the Fiend. That's Bray Wyatt in the videos. Because in the last episode, because there was 8 episodes of the Firefly Funhouse, there was a teleportation thing that Bray teleported out of the Firefly Funhouse. There was no Firefly Funhouse after that. And then, the following week on SmackDown, because there was still brand split, on SmackDown Live, we saw Bray Wyatt in the Firefly Funhouse, more like a backstage Firefly Funhouse. A little bit smaller, but he still was Mr. Rogers in a different version, and he challenged Mr. Finn Balor to SummerSlam. And then Finn accepted, and then Bray accepted, and then the date was set. SummerSlam in Toronto in 2019.
Then
Bray Wyatt versus Finn Balor, the Fiend. So Finn came out, normal Finn. Came out as normal Finn. Everybody was supporting. And we watch one of my favorite entrances of all time.
Brian, hold on. If you have never seen Bray Wyatt, please go back and watch the SummerSlam match from 2019.
Yes, please.
When he came out, he had an updated version of Broken Out in Love.
He did.
But it was this female version which kicked ass.
And it was made by one of my favorite WWE bands other than Jim Johnson, Code Orange. Yes, they're the ones who made Aleister Black's theme song. So, I was very happy about that.
Dude, when he came out, he had this
head. Like head lantern. Of a mold of his self. Yeah, older self. He's basically showing you the older self is dead. That's basically what he's showing. And actually, funny enough about that lantern, he actually had 2 versions. He had a smaller version that was kind of not the head, but then because they wanted to try to censor it, but you can't censor that. So then they made a bigger one that he'll use for pay-per-views, and a little one that he'll use for house shows, because he was doing house shows at that point. So, it's really interesting. But the main thing was, Bray had a brand new look. This was not a normal Bray. And it showed in the ring. Dude would not stay down. Like,
when he got in that ring, he beat the living hell out of Finn Balor.
R.I.P. Bray. I mean, R.I.P. Balor. Oh my God.
He had that damn neck snap.
Straight up. Sanity. And
then he wins the championship, and this is where Brian goes off, and I don't blame him.
Okay. Let me explain where this championship whole thing goes. Okay.
Let's go to Hell in the Cell.
We'll get to that in a second. So Bray obviously picks up his debut win, does a great debut. Everyone's excited. We're like, we need this dude to win the championship. Then we get the ultimate sign. The Fiend attacks Rollins after his title defense at Clash of Champions. Everyone gets hyped. We're like, holy shit, we're about to get Bray Wyatt as WWE Champion or Universal Champion. We're all hyped. Like, we were all hyped. We were like, yes, he's about to win a championship. And then the next night he said, the Fiend might be coming after you. And for weeks and weeks, he scared the shit out of Seth Rollins. Just scaring and traumatizing Seth Rollins.
One episode, if he clocked him in the corner.
Yeah, literally, just
scaring the hell out of Seth Rollins. And Seth Rollins had to get that confidence to try to step into the ring. And the worst part about it, it's a Hell in a Cell match. Now, this was actually I think this was either the second year or the first year of the red Hell in a Cell, even though I was very indifferent with the red Hell in a Cell. I'd rather the silver one. Second year, right? I was still very indifferent with the red Hell in a Cell. I'm very indifferent about that, but that's near there. So, Seth comes out, and then probably the worst thing they could have ever done. They put red lights in the whole match, and I couldn't see a single thing.
This ain't Kane back in '98.
Oh no! At least with Kane, he only did attacks with the red light. Then they put the lights back on.
Yep.
But for this, they kept it on the whole match, and it ruined the illusion, because you want to see the Fiend's match. You want to see how he looks, like how they did at SummerSlam. Because at SummerSlam, the lights were bright, and you could see the transformation of Bray. But here, they had him with a red light, and it looked god-awful. It looked so bad. And for the most of his matches, he had the red light, which was the absolute worst. Thank God he didn't have it. Oh, no, actually, did he have it at WrestleMania? I don't think he did. He might have, I don't remember. But my point is, that red light was not worth it. And the worst part about it, they had the worst Hell in a Cell finish. They made him lose by DQ.
Wait a minute.
How?
Seth Rollins beat the fuck out of him, and he no-sold every fucking thing.
He kicked out of a curb stomp, kicked out of another curb stomp, kicked out of another curb stomp. He kicked out of a buckle bomb. He kicked out of all the moves that Rollins had in his back pocket. He kicked out. And all it took was a fucking toolbox and a no DQ, because apparently Hell in a Cell has no DQ, apparently. And the fans booed the shit out of it, which I don't blame them. I don't blame them for booing it. They got screwed over. Bro. Honest.
Why would you make a Hell in a Cell match and have Seth Rollins win? People hate
Technically, because it was a no DQ match. But they put a disqualification. How does that make any goddamn sense? That makes absolutely no sense.
Fans didn't care if he didn't earn it. They wanted to see him as champion. Fans didn't give a fuck.
Fans didn't care if he would have lost clean, fans would have been rage. But if he would have lost via DQ, they would have been even more rage. They would have rather Bray win and just be okay with it. But no.
Yeah.
No. Rollins retained in the worst way possible. And then in the worst part, he finally wins the title, but he wins it in Saudi Arabia for like absolutely no reason, when you knew you should have done that way earlier.
Then we get to the good shit.
Oh boy. Okay.
I'm say this. Am I a fan of Goldberg? Yes.
Yes, I am.
No.
Yes and no. Back in the day when he was part of WCW and when he first started that dominant run, I respect where he came from. He was a big dude. I remember the Goldberg monster truck from Monster Jam. I used to watch that stuff, and I respected Goldberg for having that truck and letting Tom Mintz, which is one of my favorite drivers, drive that truck. And I was like, all right, he's a wrestler. That's very cool. And I saw Goldberg in many other different shows, many TV shows, many appearances in sports. Like, I've seen Goldberg do some shit. Don't get me wrong.
And we get to Super Showdown.
So the feud, so the feud going in was the Fiend versus Goldberg. Going in, I said, all right, the Fiend, Goldberg's gonna hit a couple spears, but the Fiend's gonna like no sell this shit and just win easily. No.
I didn't even watch it.
No.
I didn't feel good that day. I didn't.
I sat through it, and I still regret it. I sat through that whole pay-per-view because we still had a decent pay-per-view. Like, Cesaro and Monsoon was actually a very good match. That was also on the same card. Was a very good match. And I was like, all right, we're having a good pace, nothing going crazy. And then this shit comes up, and it ruined my whole day. I was frustrated the whole day. I saw him hit a damn suplex. It wasn't even a jackhammer, for God's sakes. If it would have been a jackhammer, I would be like, all right, fine, but it was a suplex. He lost to a damn suplex. And he lost to Goldberg.
When he told me, I was fucking pissed off.
Because I was going to talk to Robbins, and he was going to ask me how did the match go. I would have been like, my original answer would have been, oh yeah, Bray dominated and won. He would be like, oh, okay, cool. But when I said Goldberg won, he said, excuse me? I said, yes,
Goldberg won the Universal Championship. Oh, by the way, this is before the title. This is when Bray turned the title blue. By the way, so just want to keep that in mind. That's the one that Roman holds now. So, my point is, how do you have a old man who only comes in for paychecks and doesn't come in for passion, kind of like Edge or Christian or someone like that, who is very old, but he doesn't do it for the money. He does it to get his name back out there. Win the title from one of the most popular things in WWE. You sold so much merchandise. Bro, I bought a hoodie from you guys. And I was even considering buying the lantern from you guys. But after that match, I said nope. I said no. No, I'm not giving you my money if you're not going to treat him well. I'm not doing it. I am not doing it.
You have ruined Bray Wyatt more times than none.
And the worst part about it, you had a chance to revive him too.
Then we get it.
Because then we get the rematch, him versus Cena. Oh, by the way, I want to give a shout out to him and Daniel Bryan in the strap match. That match was really good. Just want to put that out there.
This match at WrestleMania, it was funny. Him versus Cena, it was funny.
I don't even call it a match. I call it a movie, a cinematic. I don't call it a match. The Boneyard match I call a match because it was a mix of both. Yeah. This one was pure cinematic. It was hilarious, but Bray got the win, and that was the best part. Bray got the win. Even though you don't know what you looked at, he got the win. So you're like, okay, this is a good resurgence. And he did get a slight resurgence. He started winning some matches, and he got a slight resurgence. But then they did a thing with Randy Orton, which was a really good feud going in during the pandemic. And then they burned him alive and took him off TV for a lot of months.
This is where shit gets interesting.
Then at Fastlane, it was in the, I don't think, was it the main? No, it wasn't the main. It was like co-main event, I think. It was Alexa Bliss versus Randy, and we're like, what the fuck? And but Bliss, of course. By the way, before this, Bray Wyatt teamed up with Alexa Bliss after controlling her and getting her to join the Funhouse. She was tired of losing, and she just like lost it, and she started doing the Sister Abigail to everybody, and it was like, oh, this could be the queen of the Fiend. Like the Fiend treasures Alexa, but it's true because before Alexa didn't like the Fiend, she was very scared of the Fiend, but then she embraced it, and she like transformed like for months, and we're wondering what's going to be next for Alexa Bliss. So maybe Bray goes for a title, and maybe Bliss goes for the women's title. You could have a king queen kind of deadly couple together, so it would work well. Unfortunately, it wasn't the right case. You can continue, Rob, now.
Back in 2020, one of his best friends, Luke Harper, reportedly, he died, and that ruined Bray Wyatt.
It did.
That ruined him. And ever since then, he's been off TV. But then, today we got news that Vince McMahon has released Bray Wyatt.
Bray Wyatt's officially, either he asked for his release or Vince McMahon released Bray Wyatt.
Ryan, you go ahead.
So I'll finish up my history and then I'll explain how I feel right now. So, after the stuff with Bray returning as like the zombified Fiend, which was a really interesting call.
I like that attire.
It was going to be him and Randy at WrestleMania. And everyone's like, okay, we'll take that. And Bray had one of the coolest WrestleMania entrances with fans in the stands. He had like this cool walking in, and then he had like a giant like box with Bliss on it, and it was quite a sight. It was quite a sight to see. But he lost to one RKO.
Wow.
After you bring them all back and you hype them all up, he loses to one RKO. And they put this on night 2, by the way. They didn't keep this on night 1. They put that on night 2, which had the main event of Edge, Roman, and Daniel Bryan. So they didn't know they had something in this.
Why let him lose?
And he lost to one RKO. He lost to one RKO.
Back just to lose. I don't understand this man's logic, because he's always changing stuff. always change.
And I still don't understand it. Even though, like, because you literally bought him back from the dead. You bought him back. You gave him a new mask and everything. It looked a little bit different than the original. It looked a little different. You gave him everything. But then he got RKO'd. And lost. Because of some weird Bliss thing with, like, the ink that Randy's been coughing up. She had it all over her face. And Bliss turned on Bray. Because Bliss is now by herself. In this awful, awful Fiend 2.0, which just sucks. I hate the feud, so I hate Bliss. I hate her. I hate her. I hate the Lily thing. I hate everything. I hate it. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. It's the worst. And now, you release them. Oh, and I almost forgot. He also, in between this, he feuded with Braun Strowman and brought back the old school in probably one of the weirdest cinematic matches, the Swamp Fight. Just want to put that out there. And that's the history there. So now my thoughts on this release. I'm hurt. I'm honestly hurt. Bray Wyatt seemed like a guy that's really loyal for WWE. He's done everything. He's taken losses. He's won matches. He's done everything for WWE wanted him from him. They gave him everything. He even introduced Braun Strowman. So you literally gave him all the tools. But you only gave him 2 world titles that were really short-lived, Universal and WWE. You made him lose a terrible match to Orton twice, which I find hilarious. I thought Bray and Randy would have some fire matches. Nope. No. Sad, really. And the Fiend was going downhill. He had one more little appearance, I think, after Mania, and said he'll be back stronger, and then ever since then, we haven't heard a single word. Bray Wyatt has not been seen. And now he got released today.
At first, they used Bray Wyatt right.
I agree.
If y'all would have used him right, he would have been the best thing in WWE. And even the Fiend. And if y'all would have used him right, nobody would say that Bray Wyatt don't deserve this. William Rotunda, aka Bray Wyatt, we thank you for the memories.
We thank you for everything.
And we hope to see you in AEW. Speaking of AEW, Brian, are you ready for good shit?
Let's get to it.
If you did Fight for the Throne, as we talked about before, about CM Punk, I believe it's happening. I believe after 70 years, Bill Brooks, CM Punk is headed to AEW.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can continue about this.
Yeah, on Dynamite last night, before about the middle of the show, Tony Khan announced that AEW Rampage, the new show, is going to be heading to the United Center for the first time. In a random announcement, because it's right before All Out, about a few weeks before All Out, they're going to the United Center in Chicago to get things started. Because originally it was going to be a Dynamite in a different state, then Rampage, and then All Out. But now it's AEW different state, then AEW in the United Center Rampage for an hour show at 10 p.m., and then All Out. So, very interesting stuff there. They would go to the United Center. And, you know, I know it would have been weird, right? Hear me out, right?
Okay.
I know it seems weird that you were like, oh, why would you want to debut on Rampage? I think, thinking about it now, it would be a much better fit than him debuting in the main event. Because, yes, you'll get a bigger reaction in the main event. But if you debut on Rampage to face-to-face with Darby, which Darby is one of the most popular AEW stars, you could get a way bigger reaction. And it also would help out the Rampage show get more interest. Because they are really passionate about Rampage. They're, like, really passionate about it. Like, they really want to launch Rampage to be, like, the next mini SmackDown or something like that. That's what they want for Rampage. So to have a guy like CM Punk in that arena an hour in Union
and then Darby saying in a promo, "Best in the world," it gets more hype for Rampage.
Well,
because it's making you watch Rampage, and you weren't going to do it.
People say that it ain't CM Punk, it's Kenny Omega, or it's Chris Jericho. No, them two already had stuff to do.
Jericho's in a guild right now. He just survived Nick Gage. Now he's going to fight Juventud Guerrero next week. So he's busy, and Kenny's busy with technically Hangman, but also
I'm going to say this:
mix up stuff there.
If you're one of those ones saying I'll believe it when I see it,
wait. You want to hear something funny? They have the balls to. Wait, no, hear me out. This is for the Bray Wyatt stuff, and then we'll move on. They have the balls to announce Goldberg's returning to the Red Band to address MVP, but when you know at the same time Bray got released, you have the galls to do that. You have the galls to do that.
For those of you saying I don't believe CM Punk is signed, usually when stuff like this pops up, he would deny it. He has said nothing on Instagram or Twitter. He's been silent.
I agree.
Brian, would you care to elaborate on what I'm talking about here?
Basically,
for the stupid people.
For the people that do not look at good sources and they just kind of look at just people that don't know what they're talking about.
Brian Alvarez.
Yeah.
His source is good.
Yeah, he's a very good, reliable source. One reliable source I wouldn't listen to. Ryan Satin. I hate Ryan Satin, but sometimes he's accurate, sometimes he's not. But
okay, Brian, please continue, and let me get your initial reaction and when you first found out about this.
When I found out about this, I'm cool with it because, him and Darby could be really good, and I think, him debuting on a show that, would need that extra boost. Because you can still have him all out and make an appearance. You can make him do a shockwave anyway. So doing it on Rampage, it'll give more interest to Rampage, and it'll also give interest to him and Darby. Because if Darby has a match all out, well, we know when Punk's going to strike. So it makes sense, and I think Darby and Punk is a really good feud to start him off before he goes for the world title. Because I do think CM Punk will go for the world title, but not yet. I don't think he's going to go for the world title yet. I think he's going to go to Darby first.
Tony Khan got some balls to put that arena in the United Center.
Which is the home of where the Chicago Bulls played, which is where Michael Jordan formerly played.
23,000 people. And it's titled The First Dance. Well, let me explain. The First Dance is CM Punk's debut in AEW. The Last Dance is him coming out of retirement, like MJ did back when he came out of retirement.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But anyway, I'm going to talk with Brian. Please. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, but basically, the Last Dance is where he came out of retirement, a.k.a. Jordan came out of retirement to play and win a championship, which he did win a championship with the Bulls before he retired. The first time. The second time it didn't go well for him when he joined the Wizards, but he only did it just to, get a little more basketball, and then he fully retired. Same with CM Punk. CM Punk is basically coming out of retirement, coming out of the womb, getting back into wrestling, and a great opportunity ahead to him, because if he does this, which it seems like it's very reliable, not only does the internet break, not only does WWE shit their pants, it also gives way more interest for AEW going forward because people want to see CM Punk. I have seen the last person in the world who wants to see CM Punk that are wrestling fans because people miss CM Punk. He was one of the most realist people that could speak on the mic, and they give him the tools to do it. That's why one thing, even though I don't like WWE these days, back in the day, I gave them massive respect for letting CM Punk talk about their company. Honestly. Because I wouldn't think you could get that much freedom, but Triple H and Vince gave him that freedom to speak. And now that AEW has the freedom rule where you can talk as many off-the-head promos, dude, CM Punk can make some masterful promos against many people in that company. And it'll be brilliant. It'd absolutely be brilliant for AEW. They're already getting 1 million views on TV from just shows. Like, the last show that they did got 1 million. Same with Fyter Fest. And same with Fyter Fest Night 1 and 2. So they've literally been on a roll with TV views. And things just get more interesting and interesting as it goes. It's crazy. And now there's even more interest because Aleister Black's making his debut next week. He's debuting against Cody next week. So the interest just continues to rise.
Hey, Tony Khan. Hey, AW. If this is a troll going into Chicago and it's nobody, you're going to get burned by the Chicago fans.
Yeah, if you're trolling us right now, bro,
Chicago's going to show up, they riot.
Chicago is going to murder all of you.
You don't know how big Chicago is like Philadelphia. Don't fuck with them.
Yeah.
But I believe, and with all the silence on Twitter, on Instagram, I believe he is signed. It just, AEW is giving us hints, but should they announce Punk before Rampage?
No, because it will ruin the mystique of him, because everybody kind of knows it. It would get everyone hype, yes, but it also ruined the mystique. Have him debut on Rampage and then announce he's officially signed, and then maybe do maybe a promo. Dude, I'm thinking about it now. He goes on Rampage, he makes an appearance, but then on All Out, you let him have the ring. You let him do his own promo and speak with the people. Speak of Chicago, because he would get the biggest reaction. Because one thing that people love about CM Punk, he will speak as much as he wants. They love when he does promos. So let him have the floor. Let him have like a mini thing, like you know how like Tony Schiavone does like the mini interviews. Let him do that. Like Tony basically say welcome to AEW, whatever, and then give him the mic and let him speak to the people. Let him speak to the people.
It can go on Rampage 30 minutes before the show ends and talk for fucking 30 minutes.
Yo, straight up, because the show is only an hour. The show ends at 11. Rampage is like a mini like AEW show, so you want to definitely put everything into it.
If he goes off, when he goes off on WWE, that's gonna be the funniest shit ever.
For real, bro.
Dude.
Damn.
And all the haters talking about, oh, he's never gonna wrestle again.
Wrong again.
Yes. Back when he left WWE, yes, he had issues. He didn't want to. But as time went on, he thought about it. He said, maybe there's a chance. Because last year, AEW tried to contact Punk. They offered him a contract, but the money that he wanted was too much for them. And now, here we are a year later, and we could see something that I never thought I would see happen. CM Punk returning. We are 21 days away from his debut.
Yeah.
And Brian, are we gonna do live reactions?
Well, for Rampage, I'm probably gonna be home, so we probably could. But for All Out, I'm gonna be going to a friend's house to do a watch party, because he's gonna be purchasing everything.
Yeah.
But for Rampage, I probably will be home, so we could probably do a live reaction.
I'm gonna say that. Let him please bring him. Is he gonna have a new theme song, or is he gonna stick with Cult of Personality?
Maybe get a mix. I don't know. All I know is AEW is very good at letting people bring their own theme songs. Like, they let Christian Cage bring his own theme song from Impact. They let who else did they let? They let a few other people bring their own theme songs. So I wouldn't be surprised if
I'm gonna say this.
Punk
For those of you
lets
who
him
saying
go for it.
that WWE owns, no, they don't. They don't own the rights to that song. You see, Punk is close friends with Living Color, so he can do whatever.
So Punk basically owns the rights, which is the best part. One thing, unfortunately, that I feel bad for say like a guy like Keith Lee.
he can't get the rights to CFSO's song that we all like. He couldn't get the rights to it. And I feel bad for him. And that's why, even though I would be sad if Keith Lee does get released, because there are more releases coming, I do want him to get his release because, dude, he needs to get the fuck out of there. He needs to get out of there now.
Yes.
Like, he needs to make a long-ass tweet, because he said he was going to be talking about it this week. Make a long-ass tweet and saying, I'm asking for my release. Because they've treated Keith Lee so bad. They need to get him out of there. Get him out of there now.
Now, with these new updates of Punk having long hair, let me ask you this. Should we get long hair Punk or 2011 Punk? Which version
Good
should
question.
we get?
Good question.
Because he grew out his long hair back.
True. Good question. I'm trying to think about it now.
It's hard to think about, ain't it?
Yeah, it is hard to think about because 2011 Punk looked the coolest when he would speak, but also long hair Punk is actually really cool as well. Any version for me, but if I had to pick one, I don't know.
Now, if they could get...
I don't know.
This is a speculation. If they did sign Punk, they should get AJ Lee.
Right.
But I'm going to say this, guys. We're not... Oh, okay, the first Rampage is August 13th. That's the first Rampage. The one in Chicago, that's the second one. That's going to debut Friday, August 20th.
I just want to interfere real quick. We actually got a little more details on Bray's release. WWE, you know how they softly their PR team says softly release due to something. Yeah, they're saying the same thing that everyone gets released for. Budget cuts. When you know that's bullshit.
I can tell you what they're doing. They're saving money for Brock. Because Brock wants that big-ass paycheck.
Oh,
That's some fucking
Ty.
bullshit, man.
We got Real Pro, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna try to get his reaction on all this.
I just don't understand. But yes, tune in August 20th. Rampage.
You heard the news, Ty?
We're gonna do live reactions for Rampage.
You heard the news, Ty?
Do you want to see anything?
I don't think he heard about the news.
But Bray Wyatt being released.
Bray Wyatt just got released.
From fucking bag tips. But Ethan, we are doing for Rampage on August 20th live reactions. Streaming. If you want to join us, please do. Is there anything else do you want to tell before we end it?
Bray, I hope for your future endeavors, everything goes well. You know, I hope everything's okay with you. I know you've been very depressed due to R.I.P. Luke passing away. I hope you rebuild yourself once again, because I know you're very good at that. I hope you get a new home that can let you build your storytelling and your storyline and everything, because you were one of the best storytellers in WWE. Honest. You had some of the funnest stories. You know, the rebuilding of him with The Fiend and him, you know, basically having this kind of different version of him, kind of this Mr. Rogers style character was great. It got a lot of money, and it was special. Unfortunately, WWE took it way too far, and they fucked it up. It's not your fault, though.
What?
Did I just see that right? Whoa, go back.
Wait. You saw something. What? What'd you see?
Wait a minute.
What'd you see?
Wait a minute.
Speak, damn it.
I seen this. Kenta wants a match with CM Punk.
Shit.
Oh, shit. Fuck.
Yo, we about to get a crossover between New Japan and AEW representing CM Punk? Oh, no.
Battle the GTS.
Oh, shit. Hey, the Tops Now packs just came out.
Dude! Kenta wants a match with Phil Brooks. Anyway, guys, we'll see you guys later. Tune in for episode 3, whenever the fuck that is. And make
Whatever
sure, please,
it is.
tune in for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Or 3 weeks. August 20th, Rampage at 10 p.m. my time. Thank you, and see you guys later. Peace out.
See ya.
The new packs. That's some fucking bullshit, man. Fuck WWE for releasing Bray Wyatt. Yes, he could have been better. Can I get that? Damn it. I hate that damn fucking bio to do. I still ain't got that damn card yet. That's some bullshit. Brian?
Yes?
You want to do a game?
Sure. Give me 1 second.
Let me just switch some players around. That needs rest.
I also saw Rizzo hit a home run yesterday, and I got very happy.
Ha! He looks weird in a Yankees uniform, man.
I saw Rizzo hit a home run, I was very happy. He hit a shot into the second deck.
Dude, why does Joe Gallo look weird in a Yankees uniform? We're gonna turn on injuries and keep ejections off.
Okay.
Fuck WWE, I'm only gonna watch it when Brock Lesnar shows up. Also, The Rock is scheduled to make a return at Survivor Series.